Max was a tiny ball of fur, his soft grey coat glistening under the weak autumn sun. His big round eyes sparkled with curiosity and mischief, typical traits of a kitten exploring the world for the first time. Today, however, was different. Instead of chasing leaves or pouncing on unsuspecting bugs, Max found himself in a precarious situation. A rusty piece of metal, long discarded and forgotten, had trapped him. The sharp edges cut into his delicate skin, and panic surged through him with every feeble attempt to escape. With every frantic struggle, the more ensnared he became. The cold metal felt unforgiving against his soft fur, and the world around him faded into a blur of looming shadows and distant sounds. Max's tiny mews echoed through the empty lot, each sound a desperate plea for help. He had always been a fearless little explorer, but now fear gripped his heart. Time seemed to stretch into eternity, and as the chill of the autumn air wrapped around him, he felt a sense of hopelessness creeping in. Would anyone hear him? Would anyone come to his rescue? Just when despair began to settle in, a familiar sound broke through the fog of his fear, the rhythmic padding of paws against the ground. Rex, the neighborhood's stray dog known for his gentle demeanor and protective instincts, was on the move. Rex had seen his fair share of troubles in his life, roaming the streets with a keen sense of survival. His rough exterior, weathered by years of living outside, belied a heart full of compassion. He had formed a bond with the neighborhood children, who often brought him scraps of food. They had no idea how much their kindness meant to him. As Rex trotted through the lot, his ears perked up at the sound of Max's distressed cries. Instinct kicked in, and he bolted toward the source of the noise. The moment he spotted the trapped kitten, his heart raced. Rex knew he had to act quickly. He approached cautiously, his gentle brown eyes filled with concern. Max, still, struggling against the metal, locked eyes with Rex, a flicker of hope igniting within him. Rex gently nudged Max with his nose, trying to assess the situation. The metal piece was too heavy for Rex to move alone, and he realized that brute strength wouldn't be enough. He needed help. With a determined bark, Rex dashed away from the scene, his paws pounding against the ground in a frantic rhythm. He raced toward the nearest house, where a kind, elderly man named Mr. Thompson lived. Mr. Thompson was known for his love of animals, and often shared his meals with Rex, treating him as if he were part of the family. As Rex reached the door, he began to bark frantically, the urgency in his voice unmistakable. He scratched at the door with his paws, his heart racing as he hoped for a swift response. Inside, Mr. Thompson paused from his morning routine, his brow furrowing in concern as he listened to the distressed barks. What on earth could that dog want? He muttered to himself, rising from his chair. He grabbed his jacket, knowing that Rex wouldn't be barking like this without a good reason. When Mr. Thompson opened the door, Rex bolted forward, looking back to make sure the old man was following. The path to the lot was familiar to Mr. Thompson, who had often seen Rex roaming about. He hurried after the dog, his old knees creaking with every step, but the urgency in Rex's demeanor pushed him forward. As they approached the empty lot, the panicked cries of Max grew louder, mingling with the rustling leaves and the faint sound of the wind. Upon reaching the scene, Mr. Thompson's heart sank. There was Max, helplessly trapped, his little body trembling in fear. Rex stood by the kitten, whimpering softly, trying to comfort him with gentle licks. The sight was heart-wrenching. Mr. Thompson rushed to the kitten's side, kneeling down and assessing the situation. "Oh dear, what have we here?" he murmured, his voice calm and soothing, trying to ease Max's fear. He quickly pulled out a small toolkit he always kept in his garage, the tools worn but reliable. As he approached Max, he spoke softly, "Hang in there, little one. We're going to get you out." Rex stayed close, his presence a steady reassurance for Max, who looked up at the old man, wide-eyed and trembling. Mr. Thompson's hands worked deftly as he carefully examined the metal piece, his heart aching for the frightened kitten. With every movement, he was acutely aware of the delicate nature of the situation. He knew that one wrong move could cause further harm to Max, and he needed to be patient. As he worked, memories of his own beloved pets flashed through his mind, each one a testament to the bond formed between humans and animals. He thought of the joy they brought him, the unconditional love they offered, and now it was his turn to give back, to be a beacon of hope for this little creature in distress. Rex, sensing the tension, continued to lick Max gently, trying to keep him calm. Max's eyes darted between the kind old man and the dog that had come to his aid. The warmth of their presence began to seep into his fear, and he felt a glimmer of hope. He realized he was not alone. With every careful twist and turn of Mr. Thompson's tools, the metal loosened ever so slightly. Max could feel the pressure around his neck lessening, and he could hardly believe it. The world around him started to shift back into focus. The once overwhelming panic began to give way to a sense of trust. Trust in these two beings who had come to save him. The whirring sound of the tools became a symphony of determination and kindness, echoing in the quiet lot. Max took a deep breath, knowing deep down that he was in good hands. As the last stubborn piece of metal finally gave way, Max felt an incredible rush of freedom. Mr. Thompson gently lifted him from his entrapment, cradling the trembling kitten in his hands. Relief washed over both man and dog as they realized the ordeal was finally over. Rex wagged his tail furiously, barking happily, while Mr. Thompson chuckled softly, his heart swelling with joy. Max blinked up at them, his tiny body still shaking but his spirit brightening at the realization that he was safe. In that moment, the bond between them solidified, a connection forged in courage, compassion, and a shared experience that would forever change their lives. Max had found his saviors, and Rex had proven once again that even the most unlikely heroes could rise to the occasion when someone was in need. The warmth of the sun began to break through the clouds, casting a golden glow over the scene, a promise of new beginnings and the beauty of friendship. Before we continue, please subscribe to our channel. Your subscription means the world to us and is the only way to share these stories of beautiful animals like Max and Rex, who often go unheard, with a wider audience. It helps us tremendously to keep bringing these heartwarming tales to life. So please, subscribe now. Max felt the warmth of Mr. Thompson's hands enveloping him, a stark contrast to the cold metal that had ensnared him moments before. It was as if a wave of soothing energy washed over him, erasing the fear that had clutched at his chest just moments ago. The old man's gentle voice was like a melody that lulled him into a sense of safety, and for the first time, he dared to purr softly, a sound of comfort and gratitude that resonated deep within him. Rex, ever the vigilant protector, watched closely as Mr. Thompson cradled Max. His tail wagged vigorously, sending small clouds of dust swirling in the autumn air. The bond between the two seemed to deepen with each passing moment, as if they shared an unspoken understanding of the significance of this encounter. Rex had always been the guardian of the neighborhood, but today he felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing he had played a pivotal role in saving this frail little creature. Mr. Thompson stood up slowly, still holding Max against his chest, mindful of the kitten's fragile state. The sunlight, now fully breaking through the clouds, illuminated the empty lot in a gentle glow, casting long shadows that danced around them. "Let's get you some help, little fella," he said, his voice filled with both warmth and determination. He turned to Rex, who was still watching intently, his expressive eyes glimmering with pride. "You did good today, Rex. Very good." With a determined stride, Mr. Thompson began to walk toward his home, where he always kept a first aid kit and some food for stray animals. Rex trotted alongside them, his presence a comforting anchor. Max nestled closer to Mr. Thompson, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, a reminder that he was no longer alone in this world. The fear that had once consumed him started to dissipate, replaced by a budding trust in the man and dog who had come to his rescue. As they reached the front porch of Mr. Thompson's quaint little home, Max took in the surroundings. The porch was adorned with potted plants, vibrant with autumn colors, and the faint sound of birds chirping filled the air. It was a stark contrast to the cold, desolate lot where he had been trapped. Mr. Thompson carefully placed Max on the porch, ensuring he was stable before rushing inside to fetch the first aid kit. Rex remained close, his protective instincts kicking in as he kept a watchful eye on the kitten. Max, still trembling, but now more curious than fearful, began to explore the porch. The wooden floor creaked gently beneath his tiny paws, and the scent of freshly baked bread wafted through the air from the kitchen. It was a comforting aroma, one that made his stomach rumble softly, reminding him that he hadn't eaten since the morning. He glanced up at Rex, who seemed to understand his plight, and leaned down to nuzzle him gently, encouraging him to stay strong. Moments later, Mr. Thompson emerged from the house, his arms laden with supplies. He knelt down beside Max, placing the first aid kit on the ground. "All right, let's see what we can do to help you," he said, his voice steady and calming. He opened the kit and pulled out antiseptic wipes, gauze, and bandages. Max watched with wide eyes, a mix of apprehension and curiosity coursing through him. He had never been in such a situation before, and while the idea of being treated was daunting, he felt a growing sense of trust in the kind man before him. "Rex, stay close," Mr. Thompson instructed, and the dog obediently sat beside Max, his presence a comforting shield. The old man carefully wiped away the dirt and grime from Max's fur, his movements gentle to avoid causing any pain. Max flinched slightly at the cool touch of the antiseptic, but quickly relaxed as he felt the warmth of Mr. Thompson's hand. Every touch was infused with kindness, and the kitten began to realize that he was safe now. As Mr. Thompson worked, he continued to talk to Max, his voice a soothing balm. "You're a brave little guy, aren't you? I can't believe you made it through that mess." Max responded with a soft purr, feeling the warmth of the old man's words wrap around him like a comforting blanket. The fear that had once paralyzed him was now replaced with a newfound strength. He had survived, and now he was being cared for. After tending to Max's wounds, Mr. Thompson gently wrapped him in a soft towel, creating a cozy nest for the kitten. "There we go, all better," he said with a smile, his eyes twinkling with affection. Rex leaned in closer, licking Max's face gently as if to say, "Welcome to the family." Max, feeling the warmth of their connection, purred louder, his tiny body vibrating with contentment. "Now, let's get you something to eat," Mr. Thompson announced, standing up and heading back inside the house. He returned moments later with a small bowl of warm milk and some soft cat food. As he placed the bowl down on the porch, Max's eyes widened in delight. He approached the bowl cautiously at first, still feeling a little unsure, but the delicious aroma was too tempting to resist. Rex watched patiently as Max began to eat, his tail wagging in approval. The sight of the little kitten enjoying a meal after such a harrowing experience filled Mr. Thompson's heart with joy. "You're going to grow up strong and healthy, just you wait," he said, his voice filled with optimism. As Max lapped up the milk, he felt a sense of belonging washing over him. He realized that the world wasn't just a vast, frightening place filled with dangers. It was also filled with kindness, compassion, and love. In that moment, he understood that he had found not only a savior, but also a family that would stand by him, protect him, and guide him as he navigated the world. After finishing his meal, Max looked up at Mr. Thompson and Rex, his heart swelling with gratitude. He had been given a second chance, and he was determined to make the most of it. As he settled back down in the warmth of the towel, he felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that he was finally safe. Max's journey was only just beginning, but with Mr. Thompson and Rex by his side, he felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The sun began to set, casting a warm, golden light over the porch, and in that moment, everything felt perfect. If this story is touching your heart, make sure to comment from where you are hearing this amazing story. Your engagement helps us share more, tales of love and resilience. As the evening shadows lengthened, Mr. Thompson settled into his favorite rocking chair, a cup of tea in hand, while Rex lay beside him, his head resting protectively over Max. The three of them formed a cozy tableau, a perfect picture of newfound friendship. The world outside faded into silence, but within this little sanctuary, laughter and warmth filled the air. Max, feeling the rhythm of the rocking chair, drifted into a peaceful slumber, dreaming of adventures yet to come, adventures he would share with his newfound family. In this new chapter of his life, he was no longer just a lost kitten, but a beloved member of a household that would cherish him forever. And so the story of Max, Rex, and Mr. Thompson began, an unexpected trio bound by fate, love, and the promise of brighter days ahead. As the evening shadows lengthened, Mr. Thompson settled into his favorite rocking chair, a cup of tea in hand, while Rex lay beside him, his head resting protectively over Max. The three of them formed a cozy tableau, a perfect picture of newfound friendship. The world outside faded into silence, but within this little sanctuary, laughter and warmth filled the air. Max, feeling the rhythm of the rocking chair, drifted into a peaceful slumber, dreaming of adventures yet to come, adventures he would share with his newfound family. In this new chapter of his life, he was no longer just a lost kitten, but a beloved member of a household that would cherish him forever. The next morning dawned crisp and clear, the sun casting a golden hue over the landscape. Max stirred awake, the soft light filtering through the window and illuminating the small room where Mr. Thompson often spent his days. He blinked sleepily, taking a moment to gather his thoughts before memories of the previous day flooded back. The metal piece, the frantic cries, and the heroic rescue all played back in his mind like a vivid dream. He stretched his tiny body, feeling the warmth of the blanket that had been wrapped around him. As he sat up, Max noticed Rex lying nearby, still in a deep slumber, his gentle breathing rising and falling in a rhythmic pattern. The sight filled Max with warmth. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for the dog who had come to his rescue. Quietly, he hopped off the chair and padded softly across the wooden floor, curiosity guiding his little paws. Mr. Thompson was already bustling about in the kitchen, the comforting smell of breakfast wafting through the air. The old man turned, a broad smile spreading across his face at the sight of Max. "Good morning, little one. Ready for your first real day?" he asked, his voice cheerful and inviting. Max mewed softly in response, feeling a rush of excitement at the thought of a new day filled with possibilities. Mr. Thompson knelt down, offering a bowl of soft food that Max devoured eagerly. The flavors danced on his tongue, a delightful contrast to the scraps he had scavenged before. He looked up at Mr. Thompson, his eyes shining with appreciation. "Eat up. You need your strength," Mr. Thompson encouraged, watching as Max savored each bite. Rex stirred, the sound of food prompting him to rise. He stretched luxuriously, his tail wagging as he approached his feline friend. As Rex settled beside Max, the two shared a moment of camaraderie, two unlikely allies bound by circumstance. Once breakfast was finished, Mr. Thompson decided it was time for a little exploration. "How about we take a stroll around the garden?" he suggested, his eyes twinkling with excitement. He knew that the fresh air would do them all good and that Max needed to familiarize himself with his new surroundings. He gently picked up Max, cradling him in his arms as they stepped outside. The garden was a riot of colors, with blooming flowers swaying gently in the morning breeze. Max's eyes widened in wonder. He had never seen such beauty before. The vibrant reds, yellows, and blues of the flowers contrasted beautifully with the greens of the grass, and the gentle hum of bees, flitting from bloom to bloom, filled the air with a sweet melody. Rex bounded ahead, sniffing at every interesting scent that caught his attention. He was in his element, the garden a rich tapestry of smells and sounds to explore. Max watched in awe, feeling a sense of safety and happiness swell within him. It was a world full of wonders, and he was ready to discover it. As they wandered through the garden, Mr. Thompson shared stories of his past pets, recounting their quirks and adventures with fondness. Max listened intently, his heart swelling with joy at the thought of becoming part of such a loving legacy. He felt a kinship with those animals, as if their spirits were welcoming him into a family that transcended time. "Every pet has a story," Mr. Thompson said, kneeling down to let Max explore a particularly fragrant patch of daisies. "And now, you'll have your own story to tell, little one." Max nuzzled against the flowers, their soft petals brushing against his fur, and in that moment he felt a deep connection to the world around him. After some time exploring the garden, Mr. Thompson decided it was time for a little adventure beyond the confines of the yard. He gathered some supplies, a small leash for Max, a water bottle, and some treats for Rex, and they set off for a walk in the nearby park. Max was both excited and nervous. The outside world had been a place of danger before, but now he felt emboldened by the love and protection surrounding him. As they approached the park, the sounds of laughter and joy filled the air. Children played on swings, their delighted screams mingling with the chirping of birds. Max clutched tightly to Mr. Thompson's shoulder, peering out in wonder. Rex trotted ahead, his tail high, radiating confidence as he explored the new environment. Once they entered the park, Max was allowed to hop down and explore on his own. The grass felt soft against his paws, a delightful sensation that made him bounce with glee. He chased after fallen leaves, pouncing and tumbling as he discovered the joy of play. Mr. Thompson watched with a smile, his heart full as he witnessed Max's transformation from a frightened kitten to a spirited little explorer. Rex kept a watchful eye on Max, ensuring that the little one stayed safe as he ventured out. The dog's instinct to protect was strong, and he felt a sense of pride in guiding Max through the world. As they wandered further, they encountered other dogs and their owners, each one taking notice of the unlikely duo, a scruffy stray and a timid kitten. "Look at that," a young girl exclaimed, pointing at Max. "That kitten is so brave." Her mother smiled, nodding in agreement. Max blushed, his little heart swelling with pride as he realized that he was becoming a part of this new community. He was no longer just a stray. He was a kitten with friends, a home, and a family. As the day wore on, Mr. Thompson, Rex, and Max continued to explore the park, making memories along the way. They shared laughter, treats, and the joy of simply being together. Each moment felt like a treasure, a step closer to solidifying their bond. By the time they returned home, the sun was beginning to set, painting the sky with strokes of orange and pink. Max was tired but exhilarated, his little heart full. He snuggled into Mr. Thompson's arms, feeling a sense of belonging that he had never known before. In the following days, Max continued to thrive. He discovered the joys of playtime with Rex, who became both a mentor and a friend. They would chase each other around the garden, exploring every corner and making each day an adventure. The bond between them deepened, built on shared experiences and mutual respect. Mr. Thompson, with his gentle guidance, taught Max all the things a young kitten should know: how to climb, how to catch a stray feather, and even how to navigate the intricacies of living in a home. Max soaked it all up like a sponge, his little mind eager to learn and grow. As autumn turned to winter, Max found comfort in the warmth of the home and the cozy companionship of Rex and Mr. Thompson. The snowy landscape outside became a playground of its own, with Max bounding through the drifts of white, his laughter echoing through the crisp air. Rex would join him, their playful antics drawing smiles from neighbors as they watched the unlikely duo frolic together. Through every season, their bond grew stronger, a testament to the power of love and resilience. Max had found not only a home, but a family that would stand by him through thick and thin. As he curled up with Rex by the fireplace, watching the snowflakes dance outside, he knew he was exactly where he belonged. And so, the story of Max, Rex, and Mr. Thompson continued. Each day an adventure filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Together, they would navigate the challenges of life, always supporting one another, proving that even the most unexpected friendships could lead to the most beautiful tales. As Max nestled into the warm embrace of the blanket by the fireplace, he felt a profound sense of contentment envelop him. The flickering flames danced playfully, casting shadows that swirled across the walls, creating a cozy atmosphere in the small room. Rex lay nearby, his gentle presence a constant source of comfort, while Mr. Thompson settled into his armchair with a book, the familiar creak of the leather soothing in the quiet of the evening. The winter nights had a magical quality, especially in this little home filled with love and laughter. Max watched as snowflakes swirled outside, each one unique and beautiful, just like his own story. He thought back to the day he had been trapped, the fear that had clouded his heart, and how far he had come since then. Now, he was surrounded by warmth, safety, and the unwavering companionship of his newfound family. As the evening wore on, Mr. Thompson glanced up from his book, his eyes twinkling with affection. "Max, my little explorer, how about we have a little fun before bed?" he suggested, knowing how much the kitten loved playtime. Max's ears perked up at the sound of his name, and he let out an excited mew, bounding off the blanket and looking up at Mr. Thompson with bright, eager eyes. Rex lifted his head, his tail thumping against the floor in response to the sudden burst of energy from Max. The old man chuckled softly, enjoying the lively spirit of his two companions. He grabbed a small ball of yarn from a nearby basket, a favorite toy that had seen countless adventures. With a flick of his wrist, he tossed it across the room, watching as Max's instincts kicked in. The kitten darted after the yarn ball, his little paws skimming across the floor as he pounced and batted at it with determination. Rex joined in the fun, his playful growls and tail wags encouraging Max as he dived and rolled, lost in the thrill of the chase. Laughter filled the room, the sound of joy radiating off the walls, a joyful symphony of companionship. "Look at that little guy go!" Mr. Thompson exclaimed, his heart swelling with pride as he watched Max's antics. The kitten was no longer the frightened creature he had rescued. He was a playful, spirited companion, full of life and curiosity. Max reveled in the attention, his confidence blooming with each playful leap and bound. As they played, the bond between Rex and Max deepened. Rex, ever the patient teacher, showed Max how to maneuver around obstacles, guiding him with gentle nudges. The two of them became a whirlwind of fur and laughter, spinning through the living room until they collapsed into a heap, panting and happy. Seeing them like this brought a smile to Mr. Thompson's face. He had witnessed the transformation of both animals, the once timid kitten who had been lost and alone, and the stray dog who had found purpose in protecting him. Each day brought new adventures, challenges and triumphs, and through it all, they had each other. As the fire crackled softly, casting a warm glow over the room, Mr. Thompson decided it was time for a story. He loved sharing tales of bravery, friendship and love, and tonight was no exception. "Gather around, you two," he called, gesturing for Max and Rex to join him. Max scampered over, curling up in Mr. Thompson's lap, while Rex settled at his feet, his head resting on the old man's foot. "Tonight, I'll tell you the story of a brave little mouse who saved his friends from a hungry hawk," Mr. Thompson began, his voice rich with excitement. Max's eyes widened, captivated by the tale unfolding before him. He listened intently as the old man painted vivid pictures with his words, transporting them to a world of adventure and daring deeds. As the story progressed, Max found himself identifying with the little mouse, feeling a kinship with the character's bravery and quick thinking. He thought of his own journey, the challenges he had faced, and the love that had seen him through. Rex, too, listened with rapt attention, his tail thumping rhythmically against the floor, fully engaged in the narrative. Just like our little Max, the mouse never gave up, no matter how daunting the challenge, Mr. Thompson said, glancing down at the kitten with a twinkle in his eye. He showed that even the smallest creatures can make a big difference. Max purred softly, feeling a swell of pride. He had come to understand that he was part of something much larger than himself. He was part of a family that celebrated each other's strengths and supported one another through every trial. As the story reached its climax, both Max and Rex leaned closer, their eyes wide with anticipation. The old man's voice rose and fell with excitement, drawing them both into the adventure. Finally, the brave little mouse triumphed, outsmarting the hawk and saving his friends, eliciting a cheer from Max and a joyful bark from Rex. Well, that was quite the tale. Mr. Thompson chuckled, setting the book aside. Max felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. He realized that stories had a unique power. They could inspire, comfort, and unite those who shared them. He looked up at Mr. Thompson and Rex, his heart brimming with gratitude. As the night deepened, the warmth of the fire enveloped them, and the world outside faded into a soft hush. Max snuggled closer to Mr. Thompson, feeling safe and cherished. He closed his eyes, letting the soothing sounds of the crackling fire and the gentle rhythm of Mr. Thompson's breathing lull him into a peaceful slumber. The winter days turned into weeks, and as the holidays approached, the little home buzzed with excitement. Mr. Thompson decorated the house with twinkling lights and colorful ornaments, transforming it into a festive haven. Max, ever curious, watched in awe as he batted at the shiny baubles that hung from the tree, his playful nature shining through. Rex, meanwhile, took on the role of the guardian of the holiday cheer, ensuring that Max didn't get too carried away during their festive preparations. The two companions formed a delightful duo, navigating the challenges of the holiday season together, creating memories that would last a lifetime. On Christmas Eve, the air was filled with the scent of freshly baked cookies, and the cheerful sounds of carols filled the home. Mr. Thompson had prepared a special feast, not just for himself, but for both Max and Rex as well. The warmth of the season wrapped around them like a cozy blanket, and the little home was alive with joy. As they gathered around the table, Mr. Thompson raised a glass, his eyes twinkling with happiness. "To family," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "To the love that binds us and the adventures that await." Max let out a soft meow, and Rex barked in agreement, each of them understanding the weight of the moment. After dinner, they settled by the fireplace once more, the glow of the flames dancing around them. Mr. Thompson shared stories from his own childhood, recounting the joy and magic of Christmases past. Max listened with wide eyes, feeling the warmth of tradition wrap around him. He had come so far from that cold, lonely lot, and now he was part of a story that was filled with love and laughter. As the clock struck midnight, Mr. Thompson reached for a small gift he had prepared for Max. "This is for you, little one," he said, presenting the brightly wrapped box. Max's eyes widened with excitement, and he pawed at the wrapping paper, tearing it open eagerly. Inside was a soft, plush mouse toy, complete with a little bell that jingled with every movement. "Oh, this is perfect," Mr. Thompson exclaimed, watching as Max playfully pounced on his new toy, his joy infectious. Rex joined in, playfully nudging the toy away, and the two of them engaged in a spirited game of tug-of-war, their laughter echoing into the night. The festivities continued, each moment a reminder of how far they had come together. Max felt an overwhelming sense of belonging, a realization that he had found his family, and it was more wonderful than he could have ever imagined. As the winter turned to spring, the world outside began to bloom. Max ventured into the garden, exploring the vibrant flowers and the bustling life around him. With Rex by his side, he discovered the beauty of nature and the joy of companionship. They chased butterflies, rolled in the grass, and basked in the warm sunshine, each day a new adventure waiting to unfold. Through every season, their bond deepened, a testament to the power of love and resilience. Max had not only found a home, but a family that would stand by him through thick and thin. He had learned valuable lessons about bravery, trust, and the importance of kindness. And so the story of Max, Rex, and Mr. Thompson continued, each day an adventure filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Together, they navigated the challenges of life, always supporting one another, proving that even the most unexpected friendships could lead to the most beautiful tales. As spring unfolded its vibrant colors, the trio thrived in their little haven. Max grew bolder each day, his confidence blossoming alongside the flowers in the garden. The once timid kitten who had cried for help now explored every nook and cranny with a sense of adventure. He darted through the tulips, chased after bumblebees, and even attempted to climb the old oak tree, his spirit as free as the wind that rustled the leaves above. Rex, ever the patient guide, followed closely, ready to lend a paw or a nudge whenever Max found himself in a pinch. The bond between them was palpable, a silent understanding that spoke to the depth of their friendship. They spent countless afternoons in playful antics, racing each other across the yard, the laughter of Mr. Thompson ringing out like music. In their ears, Mr. Thompson, watching them from his favorite chair on the porch, couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. He often reflected on how much his life had changed since Max and Rex had come into it. Their companionship had filled his days with joy and purpose, and the love they shared became the foundation of a life well lived. He took every opportunity to give back, volunteering at the local animal shelter and encouraging others in the community to adopt pets in need, sharing the magic of companionship that he had found. As the days grew warmer, they embarked on new adventures together, exploring nearby parks and trails. Max discovered the joys of nature, the rustling of leaves, and the sounds of birds chirping overhead. With Rex leading the way, he learned to navigate the world beyond their garden, his heart racing with excitement at each new discovery. One sunny afternoon, they stumbled upon a small pond, the water shimmering like glass under the sun. Max approached, cautiously, mesmerized by the ripple of the water and the darting fish beneath the surface. Rex, sensing Max's curiosity, playfully nudged him forward, prompting a splash as the kitten pounced at the water's edge. Laughter erupted from Mr. Thompson, echoing through the air as Max shook off the droplets, his fur glistening in the sunlight. "Looks like someone is ready for a swim," Mr. Thompson chuckled, his heart full as he watched the innocent joy radiating from his two companions. Max, undeterred by the initial splash, began to paw at the water, delighting in the dance of tiny waves that followed his movements. Rex joined him, barking excitedly as they both played in the shallows, their laughter intertwining in a beautiful melody of friendship. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Mr. Thompson called them back to the shore, knowing it was time to head home. Max, now a little wet and muddy, scampered back, his eyes shining with happiness. They made their way home, tired but exhilarated, with Max nestled comfortably in Mr. Thompson's arms, the warmth of the day enveloping them like a cherished memory. That evening, as they settled in by the fireplace, Max curled up next to Rex, feeling utterly content. The flickering flames cast a warm glow around the room, and the aroma of Mr. Thompson's freshly baked cookies filled the air. Max realized that this was his life now, a life filled with love, laughter, and adventure. The seasons continued to change, each bringing new experiences and challenges. Through it all, Max, Rex, and Mr. Thompson remained inseparable. They celebrated milestones together, from Max's first birthday, complete with a small cake and gifts, to Rex's adoption anniversary, where they reflected on the journey that had brought them together, and as the years passed, their bond only grew deeper. Max became a source of joy not just for Mr. Thompson, but for the entire neighborhood. He was known as the little kitten, With a big heart, always ready to bring a smile to anyone who needed it, Rex remained the loyal protector, always at Max's side, guiding him through every adventure. Together, they proved that the beauty of life lay not just in the grand moments, but in the everyday joys. The laughter shared, the gentle nudges of encouragement, and the love that bound them together. Their story became a testament to the transformative power of kindness and the magic of friendship, reminding everyone that sometimes the most unexpected encounters could lead to the most beautiful of journeys. As the sun dipped below the horizon one last time, bathing the world in twilight, Max gazed up at Mr. Thompson and Rex, his heart overflowing with gratitude. He had found his forever home, a place where he belonged, and he knew that no matter what lay ahead, they would face it together, side by side.